All right, welcome back to another episode of Smoke and Mirrors. This is your host Rob. This is episode 109. We are talking, well, I am talking. The I'll get to my thoughts. I hope you're all good out there. Hope you're all taking care of yourself. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all you guys out there. Thanks for tuning in. But first, I'm going to check in with John Wick Chapter 4 trailer. So this one is it looks so vast and different from what we've gotten before. This is a $90 million budgeted movie. Everyone looks on point. It's got a classic John Wick feel with the shots, the lighting, everything's just popping. The action is frenetic. It's just looking excellent. The trailer starts off with John walking into a church, and of course it's lit up. The shot is beautiful. And we're introduced to Donnie Yen's character. Donnie Yen is a fucking legend. If you haven't seen any of his movies, check out SPL. Um, he's got so many classics that I don't think he gets enough play in the Western world. Clancy Brown, who is just he's a mainstay in pop culture. The Kurgan always gets a run. You get Bill Skarsgård's character looking like the main villain of the piece, the Marquis de Gramont, who looks like he's very fancy, very pompous, very posh. Hiroyuki Sanada's character, Hiroyuki Sanada is just classy. The guy is on point. I love anything that Hiroyuki Sanada is in. I'm not too familiar with these earlier works, so if you know those ones, any standouts, let us know. Tag us, whatever you got to do to get to us. And Shamir Anderson's character, the Tracker. So we get a few locations in this one. We get the Wild West. It looks like an American kind of desert-ish location. There's a horseback chase. It looks like John's like taking people out like the Wild West, or maybe alluding to that John Wick Chapter 3 little Western motif that plays as he shoots the guy with the six-shooter. We move on to France. The Eiffel Towers, obviously, in the background. I'm pretty sure this is where Bill Skarsgård's character will be based. There is a massive car chase and a bike chase there. John driving his Charger, or I don't know what car he drives, but driving his car, no doors on there. So there's a gunfight as they're going around that big roundabout type thing. It looks fire. And then in Japan, where it kind of looks like Hiroyuki Sanada is getting recruited by John, or John's going to go consult him about something, and that's how he kind of joins the fight. It looks like there's a massive club fight in there. It does look fire. Um, uh, and then just from the trailer, we kind of get this vibe where John's got to challenge the Marquis de Gramont, um, advised by Winston. So Winston, it looks like John and Winston have kind of patched things up, and uh, like they're on talking terms, which is wild considering um, what happened in the previous movie and how that kind of ended. Anyways, John's got to challenge Bill Skarsgård's character to one-on-one combat, um, and then uh, like he's got to make it to a certain location by dawn. And from there, it looks like they've sent all the assassins to kind of stop him and stand in his way. So he's got to make it through them as well. Um, it just, yeah, it looks like the odds are stacked against John. It didn't feel very final, but we get some crazy set pieces in this. Um, all right, guys, to interrupt the flow, just have to do something quickly. Um, So if John wins the fight, the high table will honor whatever terms he's kind of laid down. But if he loses, he's dead. And that's what the high table wants. So this one looks really interesting. I'm glad that we're getting more Japanese. I'm glad that we're getting more Asian influence, because they are a big part of the high table. We didn't really see their families in the third one or the second one, which were more focused on the Italian and American legs of the high table. In the trailer, we get Donnie Yen versus Hiroyuki Sanada, which looks extremely exciting because they're both master swordsmen. And in this, they both got katanas. It looks acrobatic. It just, yeah, it's ticking all the boxes. But then we get Donnie versus Johnny, as Donnie Yen takes on John Wick in a bit of gun fu with the katanas going wild. Um, yeah, it's just crazy. I'm really, really excited for this one. It's dropping on March. Uh, yeah, it's just as soon as a John Wick movie gets announced, it's the most exciting thing ever. So, really looking forward to this one. And yeah, we'll see what happens. It's pretty early. I found it really early for them to be dropping a second trailer, considering we've got another, 4 months out. So I wonder what the rest of the promotional material will be like. I mean, we've still got posters that we got to get to and little featurettes and stuff that they'll obviously drop later on. Uh, but yeah, what do you guys think? What are your thoughts? Love to hear how you're feeling about the John Wick trailer that just dropped. I know some people don't watch trailers, and that's cool because you want to be surprised in the movie. I need something to kind of go off. Uh, and these John Wick trailers are put together pretty well, where they don't give away too much. You get a few plot um, points in there, but like it's the execution of it, and that's kind of where I fall on the whole matter. But yeah, let us know on any of our social platforms or in this YouTube video. All right, moving into uh, Wakanda Forever. So this is a big movie. I I kind of there's a couple of things that I wanted to find out going into this one. Did we need Chadwick in it? Um, Not did we need Chadwick in it, because we obviously needed Chadwick in it, but would the movie be able to carry its own weight without Chadwick in it? And um, I was really skeptical because we went through the whole process of they're not recasting him. There will not be a CGI double, thank God. And Marvel stuck to their guns. So in the whole movie, we don't get to see Chadwick at all, except for shots from the original Black Panther. It's extremely classy, and it's a movie that'll have you crying in the first 10 minutes. I'll be really, really honest and say that there was a constant stream of tears with how emotional this movie is. So we went to the cinema. It wasn't too packed. It was pretty early morning, and that's cool with me. I like to go that time to avoid the crowds because we just get too many people talking on their fucking phones, uh, and just thinking that they can get away with turning the brightness down. I didn't want that experience for this movie. Um, there were kids in the cinema. And more of a younger skewed audience that were peppered into the seats around us, and the whole time that this movie played, you did not hear a peep, which was wild. Because usually you get like a little bit of chatter and people not getting it, but people got the emotional resonance of this film, which I think it's so pivotal um, to the film and everything that it does that yeah, I appreciated it. Uh, so what the movie is about, right? It's dealing with the fallout of Killmonger upsetting the apple cart within Wakanda. It's the world being exposed to Wakanda's techs and capabilities because of their resources, which is the vibranium, um, and their attempts to steal and take control of this technology. Um, but also, what I found was it was Killmonger's sentiments on like impacting on the role of ruler, um, and in terms of are we doing enough? as a nation that can help other nations that are downtrodden or don't have the resources or need help, are we doing enough? Um, but also Wakanda's place in the world. What are you comfortable doing? Are you just are you just existing for your own nation, or will you be a benevolent society that actually helps others? There was also a big piece of um, uh, processing grief, which I think the world was, especially the comic book and comic book movie communities that kind of went through the pain of losing Chadwick, who was such a stalwart and role model within the MCU. Um, that yeah, we I think everyone kind of felt it, but you get a bit more through Shuri's character. So I'm going to go through quickly what kind of worked for me, what didn't work, and what were the big sort of surprises, and eventually my final thoughts on the film. So, like I was saying, the emotion hits hard. Uh, there were tears constantly streaming down my face. I know that doesn't sound very masculine, but fuck it. I don't really cry in the cinema and I hide that shit like crazy. But this time it was just a constant stream. I put here like the slipstreams in Telecon, which it really was. Letitia Wright, Angela Bassett, Lupita Nyong'o, Denai Guerrera carried this film. Um, you would when you watch it and you kind of hear me say that, and it's four women, right? It doesn't feel like something that was kind of just rammed down your throat like this is girl power or anything like that. It is not. It is completely role based and it works perfectly, and the like everything hits. All right. um it drew from the first film heavily, so we're always kind of getting taken back to little lines in the first film, shots from the first film, things that kind of make you go back. Because I just watched it recently. Like I did a rewatch of the first Black Panther film, and I was like, oh yeah, they did say this. Mbaku did say that, and it just works so well because there's a lot of sequels that come out and they don't draw on that experience, and so you almost feel like you get a completely different movie in a different um, environment or setting, much like the Dark Knight was to Batman Begins. And I know that sounds weird, but as soon as you got to the Dark Knight, Gotham had changed dramatically, and they had somehow unskewed the streets of the Narrows, um, and it all just got colder. Um, Namor is charismatic as fuck. I love this guy. He is the standout of the movie. Um, and he does not play this like he's arching his eyebrows and kind of he'd have a dramatic inner monologue or anything like that. He is charming, and he he comes off so understanding and empathetic. Like he's not emotional in the sense where he's so angry at something. It's almost like he's had so many years to process and work through all of the trauma that he's kind of gone through and the things that he's learned about human nature and the world, and he he's just accepted it, and he's looking after his people and trying to be the best person for his people. Talakan was absolutely beautiful. So if you're wondering how they would do an underwater city location with a full-on marketplace and different locations and how a sprawling city would be and how they would create beauty underwater, um, it's it's all shown off here. The production design is unbelievable. The way that you kind of move through the city is wild because there's slipstreams, kind of like big M5 highways, motorways that kind of zip you around, and it utilizes that. It created so much energy. I really loved it. Um, but Yeah, the filmography hit uh, through both of these nations, Wakanda and Talokan. There is this regality and this really kind of sovereign and beautiful, elegant and sort of lived in depiction of both African and Mesoamerican culture, and it was beautiful to see. You kind of want that. It felt authentic, even though they're fictional. Um, and those are the things that really worked for me and hit. What didn't work for me? So I didn't believe that Winston Duke got enough screen time. The man just cut such a big frame, and he's so, I don't know. I feel like he's really iconic, and he hasn't really been in much. And I automatically write off that Spence movie that he did with Mark Wahlberg. Come at me, I don't care. But as M'Baku, he takes on a different role this time, where uh, T'Challa had a conversation with him and said, "Hey, I need you to kind of fill in this role when I go," which is the saddest shit ever. He says, "You need to fill in that role of protector and consult to my sister to kind of keep her grounded like I would." Um, that was the first one. The second one is, all right. So we get two characters. We get Anika, who's played by Michaela Cole, and Ao, which is who's played by Florence Kasumba. Uh, and their characters exist in the movie, but then in the celebrations at the end, and when the film's wrapping things up, there is a shoehorned kind of lesbian kiss, which I love it, right? But it felt so Disney mandated and not necessary, because it just felt like, oh yeah, tack this in at the end there, will you, Ryan? Cool. Okay. But the whole movie didn't build up to that. It wasn't essential to the film and you enjoying it. It was just plugged in there. But I'm not going to spend too much time on it. All right. Big surprises. So Michael B. Jordan's character comes back. So when Shuri um, takes this heart-shaped herb, uh, she she kind of goes to that astral plane that both Jadaka and T'Challa went to when they took it, and it takes her to the throne room, and this throne room has the big throne. It's covering it. She moves around. She thinks it's T'Challa who's come to her, but it's actually um, Killmonger, the villain from the first Black Panther, and it it was good to see him again. Michael B. Jordan. I know there's a lot of people that like him, a lot of people that hate him, uh, but he did well in this little cameo, explaining that, you called to me because I get shit done and I want to help. I want to do something. And he's saying, like, that calls to your spirit and what you sort of relate to. Uh, Another big surprise, Lupita Nyong'o as Nakia, who's great in the film, is looking pretty damn good in the movie in all those form-fitting outfits they got her in. But what they do is they utilize that spy role that she kind of plays in the film that we heard about, and we see her kind of get extracted by T'Challa in the first Black Panther movie at the start, but we actually get to see that in practice here, with her infiltrating a community, getting information, then staking out and surveying a beach, and then eventually rescuing Shuri and Riri, who was just kind of recruited by the Wakandans. We get to see Everett Ross again, and Everett Ross has been hitting the gym and taking care of himself, because the man's is looking sturdy, going for the DILF title for sure. Uh, Riri Williams, who is the MCU's Ironheart, was great in this. Her introduction, being at MIT, much like Tony Stark was, helping other students out for cash, um, really running rings around her professors and whatnot. She is the smartest person in the room. She knows what she's doing. She's helping the government inadvertently with her creations, and she's got a little workshop and whatnot. Getting into her character was really really cool and got me excited for Ironheart. She gets to play a massive role in the film, from creation of different things and tech that the Wakandans use, and then the eventual final battle in a Mark II Ironheart suit, which it was kind of crazy seeing a Iron Man type flying around in there, but I liked it. Um, the emotional, extremely emotional mid credits scene that is backed by Rihanna's track "Lift Me Up" is um, is great. It's the most emotional mid credit scene that we'll get in a Marvel movie. There is no end credits, but the mid credit scene is Shuri eventually processing her grief, and the way Wakandans do this, and I'm not too sure about any cultures out there, and if you do know, let me know. But they burn their funeral garb that they were wearing, their robes and their clothes and whatnot, as a way of finally letting go. And as Shuri's doing this in this little private moment that she's having, Nakia walks over, and you see that she's got a little boy, and you find out that what what happened is Nakia and T'Challa had a son, and his name is Tucson, uh, which had they were in Haiti at the time where Nakia is currently staying, and that is his Haitian name, but in Wakandan it's T'Challa, and everything was planned beforehand so that Nakia would kind of stay away, raise their son, and and um and kind of keep him separate without the pressures of the throne um, following him around as he grew up. The scene was it was heartfelt, and it was like Forrest Gump, but in the best way possible. You know, when Forrest meets little young Haley Joel Osment, who's also named Forrest, and he kind of reacts like that. That's kind of how I reacted in the cinema. Finally, the biggest surprise is that this film has a Black Panther. And I know we've seen Black Panther in the trailer, and you kind of like just assumed it was Shuri, which it ended up being. But the Black Panther worked. Taking on that mantle is so important because it provides symbolism for the people and a chance for them to unite. And as the Black Panther, embodying all those extra abilities, it was absolutely like you're in a position where you can use that power like Killmonger did to inflict violence and pain and kind of like, yes, get your way and do what you need to do, but the impact of it is massive, right? Because you got so much power. Uh, what happens in this movie by the finale doesn't rely, it relies on the power of the Black Panther, but it relied on the commonalities reached between nations, which I loved that Namor versus Black Panther battle. That kind of it was about finding the commonalities, like this whole thing between the two nations, where they had gone, Shuri and Namor had gone through almost the exact same things, right? Like they relate through death, through anger for their nation, through grief and the processing of it. Um, but also what the output is. And it was much like, in that first battle in Black Panther where T'Challa is fighting for the crown. Uh, and well, he's kind of on his coronation. He has to find out who's going to challenge him, and it ends up being M'Baku. M'Baku's so dead set on dying because of his pride, but T'Challa says, "Hey, like you're a good leader. You need to be there for your people." So, like it was kind of that moment, but it was Shuri who, from her dealings or her relationship with T'Challa and him always being there and guiding her and whatnot, um, she makes that decision. She doesn't kill and finds that common ground with Namor to absolutely uh, stop the fighting between the two nations, but to actually support each other, which was a great end result. My final thoughts. So Namor at the end, he's saying we're the biggest underwater nation because his I'm pretty sure it's his sister. Not too sure. Namora. I don't know. Let me know if you know. But she said, uh, like we appear weak. But Namor said, well, we're not we're not weak. We're looking out for the best interests of our people. Like there's no use in them dying. But also, we're the strongest nation underwater, who's got the backing from the strongest nation, like on the surface. So I'm not too sure if he's done as a villain. I didn't see the turn completely, but I wonder if he would. And I wonder if the sequel, the third Black Panther movie, will draw on something from that. Could be cool. I love Namor. I want to see more of Namor. I don't care if it's a solo movie, a team up movie, a show, whatever. Get this guy, Tenok, get him a contract with the MCU because he killed it, and I need to see more of him in his depiction of Namor. Um, the biggest thing that you kind of get right is that while only in the MCU for a short time, the impact that Chadwick Boseman has had on it is immeasurable. The movie works not only as a standalone but a standout film in the MCU. It's the best thing in Phase 4. Absolutely. Um, the movie carries massive weight, expands on the world in crazy, crazy ways, and leaves an absolute legacy. And I reckon everyone should check it out. It's absolutely worth it, and it's really fucking good. So here, I know this is weird that we're doing the credits afterwards, but here we're getting writers Ryan Coogler and Joe Robert Cole, who also did the first Black Panther. They did a phenomenal job. Ryan Coogler was crazy. This movie looks beautiful. It pops. It stands out. The locations are varied. The palettes that he kind of uses for the different locations, really, really nice. It is a colorful film. It's not drab. It's not boring. It's lively. I think that's the best way that I can kind of describe it. He knows where to focus. Ryan Coogler, his eye on finding the different things, like in Creed when at the start when Adonis finally kind of finds out he's going to go to a home with Apollo's wife, Felicia. I think it's Felicia. I think it's played by Felicia Rashad. Apollo's wife, Marianne. Um, and his hand goes from a fist to open, like he's kind of he's letting his guard down. Ryan Coogler does very, very similar things here. I was looking for his classic one shot that he always does since Creed, but then realized that it's the first shot of the movie when the elevator doors open. In this really emotional scene where Shuri is trying to help her brother. You don't find out what the disease is, and um, she he dies. He dies, and that's how the movie kind of opens. I'm not too sure. Maybe I missed this one shot, but yeah, let me know in the comments as always, or shoot us a little text, a DM or whatever. Um, Other standouts: Ludwig Göransson absolutely nailed the music again. This time, also opting for like a almost Spanish guitar sounding, very intimate, but also like emotional score. It wasn't your big sprawling. It did have that in there, but it wasn't just that. Cinematography was on point, production design was on point, the effects were on point. Some of the things that they were doing in here, the scale was just massive. Like you can tell it's a big $250 million movie. Like you get um really kind of varied scenes here with horror tones, with action tones, with adventure tones, with spy tones, with the familial tones, intimate moments. It's just you don't feel a 2 hour, 41-minute runtime. It doesn't feel like Titanic. Titanic feels like it just drags on forever. There's a lot of movies where it just feels like it drags you through, but in this, it's as soon as an arc is done, they're queuing up something else, so you don't ever feel that fatigue in the movie. And straight after, on the day, like 2 hours later, I felt like watching it again. It's an absolute standout. More people need to see it, and when you see it, let us know what you think. We'd love to talk to you. I mean, there's lots of points that are missing here, some themes and whatnot, but I'm sure other people are capturing that. What needs to kind of happen is you need to go see it and uh, and let us know. Uh, that's it for our thoughts on for my thoughts on Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. It is a absolute pass. Passes in like it passed the mark, exceeded the mark. I think it's something for Kugler to be really kind of proud about, and everyone involved to be really proud about. Um, yeah. Um, what else happened this week? Kevin Conroy passed away. Absolutely sad. He was the um, he was the Batman for a very particular generation of kids that grew up, born in the mid to late '80s, wherever. It won't even be just a particular generation of kids. He has had such a big impact on every iteration of Batman that we've had, from the games to the movies, the animated movies, the show, the original animated show. It's sad to see a legend like that go, and so young, in his mid 60s. So we offer our condolences and to his family, friends, and fans. And on that note, we will close things up for the week. Thank you so much for dropping in. If you watched it live, um, thank you again. And yeah, follow us on all social media: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Twitter, if you're still around, there's a lot of people leaving the platform, but we'll stick around because there's still a free tier for now, I guess. If you're not watching or listening to the episode, are you checking out God of War? Are you loving it? It's great so far. What I played of it. Um, but yeah, love yourself, love movies, take care, and